Hello everybody. Today we're going to be talking about a really powerful point. Something that's going to be useful for everybody of all ages, but particularly useful to young people and arguably particularly useful to young men. Today we're going to be talking about how nothing good ever happens at home. And this is a really powerful point that I don't think most people realise, especially not people of my generation. You see, when we're at home all the time, like a lot of us are, because a lot of our lives revolve around home, we can work at home, we can make money online, we can even get our shopping delivered online, right? It just comes to the door. Then we've got entertainment. Well, a lot of that can be found online. You've got Xbox and games, you've got movies and TV, and all of this sort of stuff, which makes the concept of being alone and being at home very comfortable. And this is arguably in itself a relatively new thing. Now, always, I think it's been the case that most people would rather have some time at home than not. But just contrast the luxuries that I just mentioned with, say, the 1930s. What would you have done? Imagine if you were a single young person, right? What would you have done? And you lived by yourself. You wouldn't have played Xbox all day. You wouldn't have watched a movie. At home, you might have read a book. But staying at home all day, every day would have got pretty boring. And in today's world, honestly, it may never. There's always a new game to play, always a new film to watch, always something to do at home. But here's the funny thing about this. Because the home environment is arguably a lot more comfortable than the real world, so many people revert to staying at home as much as possible. And one thing that I'm trying to get to the bottom of understanding on my mission is what drives so much loneliness, what drives so much of the identity crisis. And you see, going back to the main point of nothing good ever happens at home, in today's world, a lot of comfort can come at home. Most comfort does come at home, and home is a very comfortable place to be, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we actually want. But as there becomes an increasing disincentive to leave home, as an increasingly large number of people can essentially stay at home all the time, what do we have? We have a situation where a lot of guys, especially young guys, they're questioning what life is all about. And I've said this before. On the topic of what success means, I would say I'm quite liberal. Like I say, I know people who I'd consider successful. They don't have that much money, but they've got a lot of good stuff going on in their lives. I know people who've got a good job and a lot of money. The point is this. You never really achieve success at home. I'm somebody who runs a lot of online businesses. I make enough money to live on online. But I still decided to get myself a part-time job, and there's a very good reason for that. Because it's another thing to do. People think that making money alone is going to make them successful. I know plenty of people who've either got good jobs or good incomes, and they've got no social abilities, no friends, no girlfriends, no abilities to talk to people in these regards or make these connections. You see, being at home can make us richer than ever, in theory, and it definitely will make us more comfortable than ever in most situations. But here's where things start to get a bit clouded, right? This is where we miss out. Because we can be so comfortable, we feel that it is right, and that is not necessarily the case. And I'll go back to the things that we do at home versus the things that we do in the real world. In the real world, we are forced to build some sort of meaningful status, right? You are forced to interact with people. You're forced to build connections. And just like when we talk about money and work, right? Because we've mentioned this argument before. And I've said this, and I'm a firm believer of this. The harder you try, the more lucky you get. This is true with work, right? We've got people who spend all of their day on Xbox or watching movies. And even if they're making good money, they wonder why they've got no friends or they've got no girlfriend. And going back to the point that I mentioned about things and where good stuff happens, the harder you try, the luckier you get. This is true in the world of business, it's true in the world of money making, it's true in the world of work, but it's also true in the way of the world. And a lot of you guys are not exposed to the world enough to meet these people, to build these connections and all that sort of stuff that will come with a real life. You see, this is powerful and this is important, but not enough people realize it. Building an empire does not happen at home. Perhaps some money that you'll make at home can be the foundation of the empire. Money is very important. It's what you need to live on. And if you can make enough to live on at home, great. But this is never going to be where you find your fulfillment. You find it in love, you find it in friends. And I know so many people now, I work with people, and all they want is someone to talk to. Or they don't have that connection because they fail to acknowledge this extremely important part of society. You do not get lucky or successful just by working online. And this is a hugely important thing for people to realize, because a lot of people think that, especially a lot of young guys, they think that money's going to solve their issues, or they think that the gym's going to solve their issues. And the reality is they're not exposed to the world enough. And again, take this out of the context of just work, or take this out of the context of just school. But imagine this, right? If you are an online person, you make money online, that's all you do, and you live this life, like I said, where everything's online, everything's a lot more opaque. If you work with 500 people, let's say, that's 500 potential friends, 500 potential relationships of all different standards and sorts. And obviously, you may not work in a place like this, you may not make these connections, but if you go for a run in the park, you don't know who you'll meet. The amount of times I've met interesting people at events that I've just gone to, the amount of times that you have chats or funny interactions that you wouldn't have seen, things that genuinely build your character and your worldview. And I hate to say it, right, but this is beyond money. This is beyond work. It's beyond incomes. It's beyond finance. A lot of guys that I've interacted with, the thing that holds them back the most is the fact that they've not done very much in the real world. And I don't mean I've got 10 years of experience in this field at work. It's like, tell me a funny story from something dangerous that you've done right when you were a kid or a teenager. We've all done stuff like that. It's what builds us to who we are. Like, a lot of the stuff that I did when I was a teenager or a young adult, I wouldn't do again. But I don't regret it at the same time, because it built me a memory, it built me some experience. But then you ask a lot of people to recall some of these memories or whatever, and they can't do it because they've not lived it. And going back to the big point about nothing good ever happens at home, how are you ever going to build genuine and authentic connections? How are you ever going to be something in the world? And here's the thing about status symbols, right? Even if you want them for yourself, whether we're talking about a Lamborghini or money or jewelry or anything, watches, number one, these generally only mean something in the eyes of society. One of these things might stand out to you specifically, but being a high achiever doesn't matter if you've got no one to share this joy with. That is a huge point that I don't think enough people understand enough. It doesn't matter if you've got no one to share the joy with. You're still going to feel isolated and alone. That's the first thing that is extremely important to acknowledge. The next thing that I'd say in regards to this is, you do not build a real world experience at home ever. And good stuff just generally doesn't happen there. You don't meet friends at home. You don't meet potential relationship interests at home. I know people might say, well, you've got Tinder or whatever. Okay, so let's just assume you meet someone on Tinder, you go to meet them in the real world. Let's assume you've got very little real world experience. How are you going to interact with this person confidently, in good stead, and have a good enough vibe for things to go well? The truth is, this is not all about money at all. It's more about building a comprehensive life and a characterful life where you're going to have stories to tell people, memories to live, and experiences. And we wonder why so many people are unhappy. It's because we've been sold this lie, and I really think it is to a degree a lie, that, oh, well, you can make money at home and everything's fine. Sure, you can make money at home, but you better have some good connections around that. And like I say, it's one of the reasons why I picked up a part-time job. It does give you, even if you've got a lot of friends like I do, right? It still forces you to meet new people, interact with new people, build new connections, have new experiences. And going back to the experiences that can come from that, this is not necessarily work, but just getting out in the world, right? Joining clubs that you're interested in, or going on hikes or walks, or just being in the open world environment. This is how you meet people. And a lot of people are that isolated now. This is going to be a huge thing for them. They need to meet people. You see, all we're doing when we're doing all this online stuff, gaming, obviously if we're building a business, we are still doing good for ourselves, but gaming, watching movies, all that sort of what word would I even use? All that stuff that really doesn't enlighten us or make us any real world richer, we are missing out on a genuine experience. Like, think about what most games are. You level up your XP, you level up your character. It's a pseudo version of real life. It's a fake real life. And going back on my big point here of nothing good happens at home, you could be doing anything in the world right now. And yeah, we all have days off. I'm on a day off today. I am on a day off today. No lie about it. I might even go home and watch a film. I might even play a game. I might just hang out with friends or family, or just keep driving around in my car, because I'm obviously out at the minute. But my overarching point is, rest days are good as long as you're putting in the work for it. And a lot of people think this online exclusive income is going to be good for them, or this online life. It isn't. It's not good enough. And I don't say this as a matter of opinion, but a lot of guys out here, they don't have love in their life, they don't have relationships in their life, and they're not going to have stories. You need to be characterful. This is how you build a comprehensive life, right? This is a comprehensive life. I'll give you the example of me. And I like to give real world stories that I can relate to. That's why I give my example. I'm not the richest guy that you'll meet. I have friends that are richer than me. They make more than me, they've got more money than me, but they don't get to experience the things that I've experienced. Some of the laughs and experiences, even some of the pains that I and my friends and my collective people have had in the past year, let's say, are priceless. They can't be valued by money. And some of the challenges that I've faced, some of which I've documented on this YouTube channel, some of which I haven't, some of these challenges could not be bought. No amount of money could make it worth it, and nothing apart from real world experience can give you this. The buzz that you get when you hang out with real people, meet real people, it sounds like we're going right back to basics here, but this is the truth. And this is what makes us who we are. It's what gives us character. It's what gives us meaning and experience. Yes, you can still get good jobs at home. Yes, it's probably the easiest way to make money, but outside of that, not much good ever happens at home. Yes, if you've got friends and family that you live with, perhaps the circumstances are going to be much different. But for a lot of single young guys trying to build their story, they need to realise home is not where this starts. It's where it starts, then you leave and you go do something. Whether that's work or any other fun activity, club, anything. This is why experience in the real world always trumps and beats. It always beats these fake lived experiences. So that's all for today. It's just a little message on something that I wanted to discuss. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, of course, do give it a like and subscribe. But let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think that this entire online world that we live in is good for people's health, people's mental health? Or is it some of the old school world stuff that we need to get back? I think it's definitely some of that old school stuff.